Our goal for today is to talk about ethics in both human and animal research. The overall theme of all of these principles is do no harm. In conducting research with either humans or animals, it's the responsibility of the researchers to do no harm. Any institution where research is conducted has what's called an Institutional Review Board, or an IRB. The job of the IRB is to basically take in applications for research that is proposed and decide whether or not that research meets appropriate ethical guidelines. So my sister Lauren, who's a behavior analyst, when she did her master's degree at Temple and wrote her thesis, she had to first submit to the IRB at Temple in order to get her research approved. This is true at all institutions that conduct research. The first ethical principle that we're going to talk about is something called informed consent, which just means that participants must be informed of the purpose of the study, any potential risks, prior to the study taking place, prior to them agreeing to be part of the study. And along with this comes the right to refuse participation. So an individual can't be coerced or forced into participating in a study, nor can they become part of the study without their knowledge. So if someone intends, for example, to use survey results as part of research, they can't just give the survey to people without informing people that the survey results are going to be used as part of research. People have to have the right to refuse participation, and also once the study begins, they have to have the ability to withdraw if they feel that it's something that they don't want to take part in anymore. All of this being said, sometimes it's necessary to use what we call deception, or to not tell people what a study's about before they become part of it. Take, for example, social psychology or social psychological research. If I wanted to study conformity, whether or not an individual is going to yield to the pressure of a group, it would be very difficult for me to do that if they knew that I was studying conformity. If they knew that I was putting them in a situation where they were going to be part of a group and I was going to be seeing whether or not they would go along with what the rest of the group is doing. So the American Psychological Association has said sometimes the use of deception is acceptable, but it should be avoided whenever possible. If deception is used, participants must be debriefed, meaning they have to be told what the study was about, and the researchers have the responsibility to correct for any potential psychological damage that resulted from the study. And really, this repairing for damage is a responsibility that researchers have in all scenarios, whether or not deception was used. But I want you to make sure that you make note right now of deception and debriefing. These always go hand in hand, these two D words. So anytime deception is used, researchers must debrief afterwards. If you ever see a scenario, like a research scenario that you're given, and it's very obvious from the outset that the researchers use deception, I can almost guarantee you that you're going to be asked, as a result of that deception, what do the researchers now have to do? And you must be able to say that they have to debrief the participants. And always, results have to remain confidential. So a researcher cannot release a person's scores or data without their consent. When it comes to animal research, the American Psychological Association has said that animals must be treated humanely. Their pain must always be minimized, as well as their discomfort. They have to be given anesthesia. And basically, the benefits of the research always have to outweigh any discomfort imposed on the animal. So when we get to the development unit, we're going to talk about some pretty controversial experiments that were done back in the 60s involving rhesus monkeys. Harry Harlow's experiments in what are called contact comfort. These baby monkeys were ripped from their mothers. They separated from their mothers very early at birth, and suffered some pretty severe consequences of that separation. Now, Harry and Margaret Harlow, they were a husband and wife team, argued that, well, what we now know of attachment in humans comes from our study of these monkeys. That's been debated more recently. And unfortunately, we've seen more recent examples of animal treatment that many consider to be inhumane, and we'll talk about those as the year goes on as well. But the guiding principle for animal research is that the gains of the research must always outweigh any potential discomfort to the animal.